My beloved child, listen closely, because what I'm about to reveal is not a message you stumble upon by accident. This came to you because heaven has been trying to reach you urgently. Archangel Michael is stepping forward with a warning wrapped in light, a revelation that was released at dawn on December 9th, a moment in the spirit when a divine financial gate opened directly in your name. And yet something tried to shut it before you even knew it existed. You woke up that day feeling something unusual, maybe a heaviness, maybe a strange pressure, maybe a sudden wave of confusion or unexpected chaos. That was not random. The moment the gate opened, the enemy rushed like a shadow, desperate to close what heaven had already approved for you. Archangel Michael says this gate wasn't ordinary. It was tied to a season of inheritance, a season of settled debts, a season of resources with your name written on them in spiritual ink. And for the first time in a long time, heaven said, yes, release it to them. But darkness whispered, shut it before they awaken. My dear one, this message is coming to you now because you still have time, but not much. Archangel Michael has been guarding this blessing, holding the gate open with the edge of his sword, but he cannot hold it forever unless you respond. That's why he is calling out to you in this exact moment. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. Because the spiritual system works by alignment. If you delay, the blessing meant for you can be reassigned to another soul who steps forward in obedience. You have felt blocked financially. You have prayed, spoken, cried, questioned. You have wondered why every time a breakthrough begins, something interrupts. You have questioned if you're under spiritual opposition. And Archangel Michael says, yes, because your blessing is real, and that is why it is being fought. There is something sacred about dawn moments. Heaven often approves things while the world is sleeping. December 9th was one of those mornings. A gate opened, and the light was prepared to pour down on you. Financial clarity, unexpected opportunities, settlement of old delays, restoration of lost things. Something that should have reached you by now has been circling you, waiting to land. But Archangel Michael shows an image, a hand of darkness trying to slide the gate shut, a shadow trying to lower what heaven was raising, a force trying to redirect what was meant for you. And yet you found this message, which means the gate has not closed. It means your name is still blowing before heaven. It means your blessing is still seeking you. It means the enemy was not fully successful, but is still trying. Child of divine purpose, let your spirit pay attention. This gate is not symbolic. It is not figurative. It is not imagination. It is real. Archangel Michael says you have one divine act that reopens what the enemy tried to seal. One moment of obedience. One alignment move. One spiritual response. But he also warns, delay is dangerous here. Delay allows another to receive what was already approved for you. The universe does not keep an unclaimed blessing idle. Heaven reassigns unused seeds, and this one is too large to lose. Feel the seriousness in your spirit. Something is shifting around you even as you hear these words. Your atmosphere is stirring. Your intuition is rising. Your heart is beating differently. This is not a message you scroll past. This is not entertainment. This is spiritual intervention. Archangel Michael is whispering, open what was opened for you. Steal what was stolen. Or claim what is yours. You were meant to walk into a season of divine yes. Not maybe. Not almost. Not someday. But yes, approved, released, ordained. The only reason you haven't seen the manifestation yet is because the enemy sprinted to close your gate. But this message is your sign that heaven has given you one more push of grace. One more chance to act. One more window. And do not miss this part. Archangel Michael says, if they walk away now, they walk away from what has already been stamped with their destiny. Stay close. Do not break the flow. Your spirit is about to understand what your mind hasn't yet processed. Before you move any further, breathe and listen. Something life-changing is unfolding. If your spirit feels a pull, a heat, a tingling, or a sudden clarity, that is your confirmation. You were meant to hear this today. And before we move deeper into what Archangel Michael is about to reveal next, pause here for a moment inside your heart. Because the next unveiling is going to hit your spirit in a way you did not expect. Hold on, you'll want to witness what comes next. Type "I claim this gate" in the comments if this message is resonating with you. Blessing code 4400 has now been activated over your path. My cherished soul, there is something you need to understand before we go any deeper, because Archangel Michael is revealing a truth that most people never hear in time. When a divine financial gate opens, it does not just release money, it releases movement, favor, circulation, and positioning. It rearranges the spiritual landscape around your life. It shifts who enters, who exits, who helps, who delays, who appears suddenly, and who disappears quietly. This is why December 9th carried such weight. The moment dawn broke that morning, a heavenly seal with your name on it unlocked a path that had been blocked for far too long. Archangel Michael shows a vision of you standing before a radiant gate, almost too bright to look at directly. It was open just wide enough for the blessing to begin flowing. But before you even sensed it, something rushed to interfere. The enemy does not fight what is empty. It only fights what is valuable. And this blessing was not ordinary. It was tied to a shift in your financial destiny, a turning point, a moment heaven marked as new season, new access. But as soon as it opened, the enemy felt the movement in the spirit and tried to shut it before you awakened to your authority. Archangel Michael reveals this clearly. They must know that the attack they felt was a sign that the blessing is real. Think back. Round December 9th, or the days following it, something unexpected may have happened. A setback, a misunderstanding, a sudden bill, a conflict, strange anxiety, emotional heaviness, or even someone pulling away from you with no warning. These were not coincidences. These were indicators. When a gate opens, the first sign is often turbulence. But turbulence is proof that something is rising. You may have felt tired without reason. You may have felt drained even after resting. You may have felt resistance in places that normally feel easy. You may have felt pressure in your finances even more than usual. This was the enemy trying to cloud your discernment so you wouldn't notice that heaven had approved something major. But here is the beautiful, powerful truth. Even though darkness tried to close that gate, it failed completely. The gate did not close. It narrowed, but it did not seal. And that is why this message found you. Archangel Michael hath been standing there, holding the gate open just enough so your spirit could still respond to heaven's call. Not everyone receives a second chance like this. But you did, because the blessing attached to your name carries purpose, not just provision. Archangel Michael says this blessing is not meant to make your life easier only. It is meant to position you for the assignment ahead. You are stepping into a season where your resources will matter. Your stability will matter. Your ability to sow, to uplift, to strengthen others will matter. There is a divine alignment coming that requires you to be spiritually and financially equipped. Heaven is not simply giving you money. Heaven is giving you capacity. And yet, the enemy knows that if this gate stays open, you will soon walk into a level of favor that cannot be reversed. That is why it fought. That is why it pushed. That is why it tried to shift the blessing away from your name and toward another soul. But hear this clearly. What heaven approved for you can only be taken from you if you remain spiritually inactive. That is why Archangel Michael is urging you to open this immediately. Not physically, not emotionally, but spiritually through alignment, awareness, and obedience. Your gate is waiting on your response. It is waiting on your readiness. It is waiting on your spiritual signature. And right now, as you receive these words, the gate is shaking not in collapse, but in activation. It can sense your spirit awakening. It can sense you realizing that you were chosen for this moment. It can sense your energy shifting as you come into agreement with what heaven already approved. Archangel Michael whispers, "Tell them this. The blessing has not been reassigned. It is still theirs. But they must act before the spiritual window closes. This is not fear. This is timing. This is alignment. This is heaven urging you not to drift away from what was divinely orchestrated. You did not arrive here randomly. Something guided you. Something nudged you. Something whispered that you needed to listen. That was your spirit recognizing its moment. You are standing in the middle of a divine interruption, heaven stopping whatever you were doing so you would not lose what belongs to you. Pay attention to the stirring in your heart right now. A sudden sense of awareness. That warmth. That pull. That clarity. Archangel Michael is near. His presence is unfolding like a shield around you, reminding you that you have never been abandoned, never been overlooked, never been forgotten. Heaven has been tracking your steps, your tears, your prayers, your struggles, and now it is trying to reward your endurance. But the deeper revelation, the one that will shock your spirit, is coming next. The reason the gate opened for you specifically, the reason the enemy tried to seal it, the reason the blessing carries urgency. What is approaching you is bigger than what was taken from you. Before you scroll, breathe for a moment because what comes next will shift the way you see your entire journey. Type "I am ready for my approval" in the comments to align your spirit. Blessing code 5571 is now in motion. My radiant soul, before we go deeper into the mystery unfolding around you, Archangel Michael wants you to understand why the financial gate opened for you specifically, and why the enemy reacted with such violent urgency. You see, not every blessing is fought. Only the ones that shift timelines, redirect destinies, and activate spiritual authority trigger this level of warfare. The gate that opened for you at dawn on December 9th was not just about finance. It was about elevation. It marked the beginning of a season where you are meant to step out of cycles that have kept you small, unseen, and underlifted for far too long. This blessing was a stamp from heaven saying, "Their delay ends now." Archangel Michael reveals an image of a scroll being unrolled, a scroll carrying months, maybe even years, of prayers you thought were unanswered. Yet every word was heard. Every tear was documented. Every moment of endurance was witnessed. Heaven waited for the exact moment when your spirit would be strong enough to carry what is coming. December 9th was not random. It was chosen. It was ordained. It was the moment heaven said your process had matured into readiness. But the enemy recognized something you haven't fully seen yet. This blessing doesn't just change your finances. It changes your identity. It lifts you to a place where old chains cannot follow. It separates you from past mistakes, past limitations, past environments that drain you. And when a person is elevated, everything connected to them begins to elevate. That is why darkness rushes with panic. Because the moment you rise, those connected to your destiny rise with you. Archangel Michael is showing a vision of a spiritual map, a network of people, opportunities, and divine intersections that are supposed to bloom once your financial gate fully opens. There are individuals you are meant to help, inspire, support, or guide. There are moments ahead that require you to be strong, stable, and unshaken. The enemy wasn't trying to block just your money. It was trying to block your impact. It feared the ripple you would create once you stepped into your ordained flow. And this is the part Michael insists you understand deeply. Your blessing was never meant to stay small. It was never meant to barely sustain you. It was meant to overflow into abundance. Because your calling requires overflow. But darkness knows that if it can starve your resources, it can slow your assignment. That's why it tried to seal the gate before you even realized heaven had approved you. But what the enemy didn't expect was that Archangel Michael himself would intervene, standing at that gate with authority, refusing to let it close. Heaven is giving you one more window to step into alignment before this blessing tries to shift toward another soul who responds faster. This does not mean God is unfair. It simply means spiritual gates operate on timing. They open for a moment, waiting for the one whose name is written on them to step in. If they hesitate too long, the blessing flows toward the next available vessel. But Archangel Michael says your gate is still open because God still wants this blessing to land in your hands first. Listen closely. There is something about your spirit that moved heaven. Something about your endurance. Something about the way you kept faith even when you were exhausted. Something about the quiet battles you fought in silence. The prayers you whispered when you had no strength left. Heaven saw all of it. And these things created spiritual weight, spiritual credit, spiritual positioning. This is why the gate opened for you and not for someone else. Archangel Michael now lifts his sword in the vision. The blade glows with light, and he says, "Tell them this truth. The blessing is still theirs, but they must step toward it. Your life is shifting in real time. Your atmosphere is rearranging. Your spirit is awakening to something that was always meant for you but could only be accessed when the right moment arrived. This is the moment. Your intuition may feel sharper than usual. Your awareness may feel heightened. You may even sense a spiritual warmth or pressure around you right now. That is not imagination. That is confirmation. Archangel Michael is near, guarding the opening that was reserved for you. He is urging you not to drift, not to scroll away, not to lose focus, because the next revelation is the one the enemy never wanted you to uncover. Before we move into that deeper unveiling, take a breath because the breakthrough you've been praying for is closer than it has ever been. The next part will shake your spirit in a powerful way. Trust me, what comes next will help you see why the blessing had to come now. Wait for it. The next revelation carries weight. Type "I receive my divine access" in the comments to anchor your spirit. Blessing code 9914 has now been released over you. And before we go forward, if this message is touching your spirit, make sure you like this video, share it with someone you love, comment below to keep the energy flowing, and subscribe so you never miss what heaven releases next. Beloved, as we stand at this holy gate together, I want you to know something deeply spiritual. When you support this mission, you are not helping a channel. You are helping heaven reach souls before their blessings slip away. Archangel Michael is moving through these messages to awaken people just like you, and every seed you sow becomes light in someone else's darkness. God says, "What you release in faith, I multiply in purpose." And right now, I feel led to tell you personally, if I am speaking to your heart, step into this moment with courage. Your support becomes a prophetic act, a declaration that you choose alignment over delay, destiny over fear. You can use super thanks, YouTube membership, with the PayPal link in the description, whichever your spirit leads. As you give, may the heavens open over your finances, and may your seed return as divine multiplication. Step into this moment boldly. My awakened soul, before you move another inch spiritually, Archangel Michael is urging you to understand what was happening behind the scenes at the very moment your divine financial gate opened. Because the enemy didn't just rush to close it, it attempted to redirect it. And this is the part that most people never discover until it's too late. When heaven releases a blessing, it doesn't fall aimlessly. It travels like a beam of light, targeted, assigned, programmed with a specific spiritual identity. On the morning of December 9th, that beam of light carried your name, your frequency, your spiritual signature. It was meant for no one else but you. Archangel Michael reveals that as the gate opened, the blessing began moving toward you immediately. But something intercepted its path, a spiritual disturbance, a dark interference, a shadow that tried to duplicate your identity long enough to confuse the flow. This is what the enemy does when it cannot stop a blessing entirely. It tries to reroute it. It tries to attach your blessing to someone else's energy. It tries to shift your approval to another vessel. And the most shocking part, you felt this without realizing what you were feeling. Think back to the days shortly after December 9th. Did you feel moments where you were strangely disconnected? Moments where you didn't feel like yourself? Moments where you felt drained, foggy, or unsettled for no clear reason? That was not random. That was the spiritual interference attempting to mimic your identity, hoping the blessing would flow toward the wrong source. The enemy knows that if it can distort your energy even slightly, it can create a false match for your blessing. But that's when Archangel Michael stepped in, not quietly, but with power. He blocked the interception. He cut through the confusion. He severed the false identity that tried to stand where you were supposed to stand. His sword illuminated your path again. And now, the blessing is hovering, waiting, aligned but not yet fully sealed. It wants to reach you. It is stretching toward you. But it requires your spirit to open the gate completely. This is why Archangel Michael speaks with urgency. Heaven does not leave blessings floating indefinitely. Divine energy must land somewhere. And if the original vessel stays dormant, distracted, misaligned, or unaware, the blessing will seek a new point of reception. Not because God is harsh, but because heaven's flow is continuous. It moves. It circulates. It never stops. And right now, that flow is circling around you, waiting for your spirit to say, I am open. Archangel Michael now shows another image. This one is profound. He reveals you standing at a threshold, 1 foot already inside the new realm, 1 foot still touching the old. This is why you've been feeling emotional shifts, mental shifts, sudden clarity mixed with sudden confusion. You are transitioning. And transitions always feel like tug-of-war. The old tries to pull you back. The new tries to pull you forward. But the gate is waiting for your decision. Pay attention to this next truth. Your blessing is not late. It is not lost. It is not weakened. It is paused, waiting on your activation. Archangel Michael says the enemy's interference only did one thing successfully. It slowed the blessing, but it did not stop it. And the reason it did not stop is because heaven still intends for this blessing to land in your life first. There is something coming that requires you to be ready, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Something that will need your strength and your stability. Something that cannot be carried while you are still attached to old cycles. This blessing is not just money. It is positioning. It is authority. It is momentum. It is the breaking of a cycle that has haunted your life for too long. The cycle of almost stable, almost supported, almost blessed, almost seen, almost chosen. Heaven is tired of watching you live in almost. This gate opened to shift you from almost to already. Archangel Michael whispers, tell them they are closer than they think, closer to breakthrough, closer to restoration, closer to the moment when everything that was delayed suddenly accelerates. You may have felt tension recently, internal or external. You may have felt the pressure of old patterns trying to pull you back. You may have felt resistance in your sleep, your thoughts, your emotions. But that pressure is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of imminent shift. Pressure always comes before release. Resistance always comes before breakthrough. Darkness always reacts when light is about to win. Your spirit is sensing something powerful because something powerful is approaching you. Archangel Michael is preparing to reveal what happens if you open the gate fully, and what happens if you don't. But that revelation carries weight, and you need to be grounded before you hear it. Take a slow breath. Feel your spirit settling. You are exactly where you are meant to be in this moment. And the next unveiling will reveal the purpose behind everything you've endured. Hold on, this next part will open your eyes to the truth the enemy never wanted you to understand. Type "My gate will not close" in the comments to seal your alignment. Blessing code 8282 is now surrounding your path with protection. My chosen soul, now we step into the part of the revelation that Archangel Michael has been preparing you to receive, the part that explains why your breakthrough has felt so close yet so strangely delayed, and why December 9th marked a spiritual turning point you didn't even realize was unfolding around you. When your divine financial gate opened at dawn, something was released that carried not only your provision but also your permission to rise, to expand, to access places that were previously sealed to you. But as soon as this permission was granted, the enemy launched a counterattack aimed not at your blessing, but at your confidence. Archangel Michael shows an image of you standing in a corridor of light, the gate glowing behind you, but a fog rising in front of you. This fog represents the confusion, self-doubt, hesitation, and emotional heaviness you may have felt without knowing why. When the blessing began approaching you, the enemy knew it could not block it directly, so it tried to weaken your belief in yourself. Because if you doubt who you are, you will doubt what belongs to you. If you second-guess your worth, you second-guess your blessing. If you shrink inward, the gate remains only partially open. This is why certain old thoughts resurfaced recently. Old insecurities, old fears, old voices, old wounds you thought were healed. These things didn't come back because you were going backward. They came back because the blessing was coming forward. The enemy tried to overwhelm you emotionally so you wouldn't recognize the magnitude of what heaven was sending your way. But Archangel Michael wants you to hear this clearly. Your blessing was approved because of who you have become, not because of who you used to be. The enemy tried to remind you of the person you once were, but heaven is rewarding the person you have become. Your growth, your endurance, your transformation, these things carry spiritual value. These things opened the gate. These things caught heaven's attention. Archangel Michael reveals that the blessing released for you is a restorative blessing, one that compensates you for years of confusion, years of stagnation, years of spiritual battle that you won silently while no one knew what you were carrying. This financial gate is tied to your resilience. Every moment you chose faith when you felt fear, every moment you kept going when you felt empty, every moment you prayed when you didn't know what to say, all of it created spiritual equity. And now heaven is ready to release what you've earned. But you must do your part. You must remain spiritually open. Michael shows another vision, a golden scroll floating above the gate, with 3 words inscribed: restoration, replacement, and release. These are the 3 phases your life is stepping into now. Restoration of what was taken, replacement for what was lost, release into what is new. But here is the part that will speak to your soul deeply. This blessing is not just financial. It is emotional restoration. It is mental release. It is spiritual clarity. It is relational realignment. It is divine positioning. Sometimes a financial shift is the trigger for a life shift. That is why the enemy is terrified of this gate opening fully, because this one blessing will rearrange everything. Archangel Michael says, "Tell them their next chapter requires resources." This is why the blessing must reach them. You are being prepared for a role, a responsibility, a purpose that cannot be carried with scarcity or limitation. You need strength. You need stability. You need the ability to move freely without fear of collapse. This blessing is meant to lift the weight that has been pressing on your spirit for too long. And yet, the enemy's final strategy is subtle. It tries to push you into spiritual passivity. It tries to make you think the blessing will arrive on its own, that you don't have to stay alert, that you can go back to your old rhythm. But Archangel Michael warns that passivity is the doorway through which blessings slip away. Not because heaven withdraws them, but because alignment weakens when the soul stops reaching. He wants you to know something vital. You are already closer to this breakthrough than you realize. You are not hoping for it. You are inches from receiving it. You are not waiting in the dark. You are standing in the glow of the opening. But the next revelation will show you exactly what happens when the gate opens fully, the shift that hits your atmosphere, your relationships, your opportunities, and even the way people perceive you. This is the part the enemy fears the most because it exposes how powerful your next season truly is. For now, breathe. Feel your spirit steady itself. You are walking through something sacred and rare, a moment when heaven interrupts your life to pull you back into alignment. Before we enter the next unveiling, stay with me. Your turning point is being written in real time. Type "I will not miss my blessing" in the comments to affirm your spirit. Blessing code 3307 is now flowing over your path with divine acceleration. My illuminated soul, now we step into the moment where the truth becomes undeniable. The moment Archangel Michael reveals what will happen when your divine financial gate opens fully, and why the enemy rushed to interfere the very second dawn broke on December 9th. What is coming your way is not small, not ordinary, not something you can simply absorb without transformation. This blessing carries a shift in atmosphere, a change so profound that even the people around you will notice something different in you before you even speak a word. Archangel Michael shows a powerful vision, a flood of golden light pouring through the gate, rushing forward like a wave that has been waiting for the command to move. Inside this light are fragments of opportunities, open doors, connections, unexpected approvals, sudden clarity, and breakthroughs that appear out of nowhere. This is why the blessing carries urgency. It is not one blessing. It is a cluster of blessings, a chain reaction that begins with one financial release but triggers a complete elevation of your entire life. The enemy tried to close the gate because it knew what would follow. For when this blessing reaches you, 3 things will begin happening all at once. First, your environment will shift. Suddenly, things that used to feel heavy will begin to feel light. The obstacles that used to slow you will crumble. The people who drained your energy will lose access to your spirit. You will feel a separation, not because you are becoming distant, but because heaven is pulling you into alignment with a higher frequency. When a blessing descends, the environment around you adjusts to match it. Second, your perception will sharpen. Archangel Michael says your discernment will elevate to a level where you see through deception effortlessly. You will sense intentions, read atmospheres, and recognize opportunities with clarity. The enemy fears this because confusion has been one of its strongest weapons against you. But the moment your gate opens fully, confusion breaks, deception collapses, and everything that was hidden becomes visible to your spirit. Third, your path will accelerate. This is the part darkness panicked about. When heaven releases a divine financial gate, it doesn't just bring money, it brings movement. Stagnant areas begin to flow. Delayed answers begin to arrive. Prayers begin to manifest. You start attracting situations that were once blocked. Opportunities begin to search for you instead of you chasing them. Destiny begins to gather around you like gravity. This is why Archangel Michael says this blessing cannot be reassigned without a fight. Your life is tied to something bigger than what your eyes can currently see. There is a ripple effect behind you and a ripple effect ahead of you. You are meant to influence, support, heal, guide, or uplift people who haven't even entered your life yet. And your blessing is the key that unlocks that next level of responsibility. But here is the deeper revelation, the part that may shake your heart. Archangel Michael reveals that your blessing is already moving, but it is waiting for your full spiritual agreement. It is hovering at the gate, pressed close, ready to pour, but it cannot force its way into your life. Heaven respects the alignment of the soul, and your alignment is strengthening with every moment you stay in this message. Michael's presence intensifies as he shares this. They must know that this blessing will not just change their life, it will change their future. This is why you've been feeling an unexplainable tension lately. You may have felt withdrawals in certain relationships. You may have felt restless in familiar environments. You may have felt a push to clean, reorganize, release, detach, or restructure areas of your life. You may have even felt a strange urgency to step into new habits or decisions. This is not coincidence. This is preparation. What is coming requires space. What is coming requires readiness. What is coming requires courage. Your old mindset cannot carry the new season. Your old fears cannot follow your new identity. Your old limitations cannot breathe in the atmosphere of your breakthrough. Archangel Michael says the blessing released at dawn is meant to lift you into a realm where you operate with confidence, clarity, and authority. You will no longer question whether you are deserving. You will no longer fight silent battles alone. You will no longer shrink to fit places that were never designed for your spirit. When your gate opens fully, you will rise, not just financially, but spiritually, emotionally, relationally, and purposefully. You will walk differently, think differently, decide differently, and heaven knows this is exactly the version of you that your destiny requires. The next revelation will expose what the enemy hoped you would never discover, the reason your blessing carries a time-sensitive stamp, and what happens spiritually if the blessing tries to shift toward another vessel. But before we move into that, breathe deeply. Settle your heart. The next unveiling is powerful. Hold steady, the truth ahead is going to open your eyes even wider. Type "I align with my open gate" in the comments to seal your readiness. Blessing code 2110 has now been activated over your journey. My rising soul, as we step deeper into this unfolding revelation, Archangel Michael is pulling back the final veil surrounding your December 9th blessing, the part that explains why your breakthrough carries a time-sensitive stamp and why the enemy reacted with such intensity the moment it detected movement in the spirit. What you are about to hear will not only make sense of your recent experiences, but it will also reveal the spiritual laws that govern divine blessings. The laws most people never learn until they have already lost what was meant to be theirs. Archangel Michael reveals that every approved blessing travels with a window, a sacred period during which heaven offers alignment, clarity, and divine nudges to help you receive what was already written in your destiny. This window is not punishment. It is mercy. It is structure. It is order. Everything heaven releases arrives at the perfect moment, not too early, not too late. December 9th was that moment for you. It was the dawn chosen to break a spiritual cycle that had held you in place for far too long. It was the dawn heaven said, "They are ready, release the gate." But here is the truth most people never hear. When a blessing is released and the soul does not respond, the blessing begins searching for another vessel. This shifting does not happen instantly. It happens gradually, subtly, quietly. It starts when the person meant to receive the blessing becomes spiritually tired, distracted, or disconnected. Their energy weakens. Their alignment loosens. Their atmosphere becomes foggy. And while their blessing is still hovering, still available, still reachable, it begins to drift. Not away completely, but away slowly. Away gently. Away silently. Archangel Michael says this drifting process had already begun around you until now. Your spirit reawakened. Your awareness returned. Your energy recentered. Your attention locked back onto the path heaven opened. And because you came back into alignment, your blessing paused its drift and returned to its original position, waiting again for you. The enemy knew that if your spirit reconnected to this revelation, the blessing would rush back to you instantly. That is why the enemy tried to close the gate before you even realized it had opened. That is why confusion hit you. That is why unexpected setbacks surface. That is why you felt emotional vulnerability out of nowhere. Darkness feared your awakening because an awakened soul is unstoppable. Archangel Michael reveals another vision, a divine ledger with your name written in glowing script. Next to your name is a timestamp from heaven, a divine approval, a spiritual signature, a sacred mark that says, "This one has qualified through endurance, through patience, through trials." And beneath, that is the profound truth. Your blessing was never random. It was earned through your battles, your tears, your prayers, and your faithfulness when you felt you had nothing left to give. But here is what the enemy feared most. This blessing was not made to bless you alone. It was made to change your entire atmosphere. It was made to strengthen your purpose. It was made to influence and uplift others. It was made to bless the people you'll touch in the future. Your blessing is too influential to be left unclaimed for long. Heaven will not let a generational breakthrough sit idle. That is why the enemy tried to speed up the reassignment. It wanted your blessing to slip out of your reach before your spirit woke up. But Archangel Michael intervened. His sword guarded your gate. His presence defended your approval. His authority kept your blessing from being redirected. Now he is calling you to remain fully alert, spiritually awake, deeply tuned in. He is reminding you that your destiny is not passive, it is participatory. He is urging you to understand that your blessing responds to your spiritual posture. When you are open, it comes closer. When you are aligned, it moves faster. When you are ready, it pours. Archangel Michael whispers, "Tell them their blessing is sensitive to their readiness." This is why your intuition has been louder, why your dreams have felt more symbolic, why your emotions have felt heavier or more reactive, why your thoughts have pulled you inward. Because your spirit knows a shift is approaching. It can feel the blessing pressing against the gate, waiting for the final command to enter your life fully. And here is the revelation that will make your spirit tremble in a powerful way, not a fearful one. The moment your gate opens completely, you will enter a supernatural season where opportunities appear unexpectedly, blessings unfold rapidly, answers come without delay, and people or resources arrive at the perfect time without you chasing them. This is the blessing that the enemy fought so hard to block, because it accelerates your destiny. Archangel Michael shows your future like a sequence of shifting doors, each one connected to the next, like falling dominoes of divine timing. Once the first door opens, everything else begins aligning. The enemy wasn't just trying to block one blessing, it was trying to block the entire chain. But hear this deeply. You are not behind. You are not late. You have not missed your moment. You are standing exactly where heaven needs you to be for what is coming. The next revelation will expose the final test you must pass in order for the blessing to lock into your life permanently. And this next truth is one the enemy is afraid of you hearing, because once you know it, the gate cannot be closed again. Stay with me. Your breakthrough is breathing on the other side of the next unveiling. Type "My blessing" will find me in the comments to anchor your spirit. Blessing code 6624 is now activated around your destiny. My advancing soul, we have now arrived at the turning point. The moment Archangel Michael reveals the final test you must overcome so the blessing released at dawn on December 9th becomes permanently sealed to your name. This is the test the enemy hoped you would fail. This is the test that determines whether your divine financial gate opens fully, or whether it hesitates, weakens, or shifts its alignment. And this test is not external. It is internal. It is not about what others are doing. It is about what your spirit chooses to do next. Archangel Michael reveals that before any major blessing locks into a person's life, heaven watches for one thing: your ability to remain faithful while the blessing is still invisible. Not after it arrives. Not after you feel relief. Not after doors open. But right now, when it is close enough to sense, yet still hidden enough to challenge your endurance. This moment is the spiritual hedge, the place where many people lose what was meant for them because they collapse inward too soon. He shows an image of you on a spiritual threshold, one step away from a realm of breakthrough that has been trying to reach you for years. You are not far. You are not distant. You are not lost. You are standing at the edge of manifestation. But the final test is this: will you maintain alignment even when the blessing is not yet visible to your physical eyes? Because blessings respond to conviction, not confusion. They respond to faith, not fear. They respond to clarity, not hesitation. Archangel Michael whispers, "Tell them this. The enemy has no power to shut the gate unless the soul retreats." This is profound. The enemy cannot close the gate. It can only pressure you into stepping backward so the gate closes on its own. This is why you have felt emotional heaviness. This is why unexpected distractions rose up. This is why familiar fears tried to resurface. It was not because you were failing. It was because you were succeeding. The closer your blessing came, the louder the resistance became. But here is the truth the enemy hoped you would never discover. Every struggle, every wave of doubt, every emotional turbulence was actually a sign that your gate was opening more, not less. Pressure increases right before expansion. Confusion spikes right before clarity. Darkness pushes hardest right before the light breaks through. You have not been under attack. You have been in transition. And transitions always shake the spirit before they stabilize the life. Archangel Michael shows another vision now, a divine seal hovering above the gate. The seal represents permanence. Once it locks onto your blessing, nothing can take it. delay it, or reroute it again. But for this seal to descend, heaven needs one final movement from your spirit. Agreement. Not passive agreement. Not quiet agreement. But aligned, awakened, intentional agreement. Agreement is not a feeling. It is a posture. It is the way your spirit says yes even when your mind says how. It is the way your soul leans forward even when fear tries to pull it back. It is the way you choose trust instead of tension, focus instead of fear. Archangel Michael says your agreement is the key that tells heaven, seal it. They are ready. And the moment that seal drops, everything begins to shift rapidly. People who drifted away suddenly reappear with clarity or closure. Opportunities you forgot about come back strengthened. Delays dissolve. Confusion clears. Your inner voice becomes stronger. Your intuition becomes sharper. Your path becomes undeniable. And your blessing, the one released at dawn, finally enters your life without interruption. But Michael also reveals something deeper. The blessing carries a vibration that will attract new connections into your life while stripping away connections that cannot exist in your next season. You will notice people revealing their true intentions, some gently fading away, some suddenly returning with better energy, some being removed for your protection. This is part of the process. When heaven elevates you, it reorders your circle. This is not loss. This is alignment. You may even sense a shift in your sleep patterns, your emotions, your thoughts, or your motivation. This is your spirit adjusting to the frequency of what is coming. Your blessing is not normal. It is calibrated to your future, not your past. It will not fit into old versions of you. It will not sit comfortably in old environments. It will not bloom in old cycles. This blessing requires you to step into the version of yourself that heaven fought to protect. The final test is simply this. Do you choose alignment over fear? Do you choose clarity over confusion? Do you choose movement over hesitation? Do you choose the future over the familiar? Archangel Michael says, if they choose alignment, nothing can take what belongs to them. Heaven is watching your posture right now. Your blessing is waiting for your signal. Your future is leaning toward you, waiting to be activated. And hear this deeply. The next revelation will show you why heaven handpicked you, why this blessing was assigned to your name before you were even aware of it, and why the enemy fought you so hard for so long. You are about to understand your destiny in a way that will bring everything into focus. But before we step into that, stay in this moment with me. Your spirit is aligning. Your gate is responding. Your blessing is near. Hold on, what comes next will confirm everything your heart has been sensing. Type I choose alignment in the comments to secure your spirit. Blessing code 7749 is now unfolding over your path. If this message is awakening something inside you, like this video to keep the energy flowing, share it to help someone else reclaim their blessing, comment below to stay connected in spirit, and subscribe so you never miss another divine release. Beloved, as you stand in this sacred moment of alignment, hear this clearly. When you support this mission, you are helping heaven reach souls before their blessings slip away. You are not giving to a channel, you are sowing into spiritual awakening. Archangel Michael is guiding this movement so people like you can rise into their divine timing, and your offering becomes a ripple of light that touches someone who might be moments away from breakthrough. God is saying, what you release from your hand, I will release into your future. And I feel led to speak directly to you now. If I am speaking to your heart, step forward. This is your moment to act. You can use super thanks, become a channel member, or give through the PayPal link in the description. As you sow into this mission, May the heavens unlock doors that have been waiting for your yes. Release your seed boldly and walk into your blessing with authority. Ascending soul, now Archangel Michael draws you into the heart of the revelation. The reason you were chosen for this blessing, the reason heaven opened this gate for your name at dawn on December 9th, and the reason the enemy reacted with such urgency the moment the light began moving toward you. This next truth is not just informational, it is transformational. It will explain your life, your battles, your delays, your patterns, and even the strange spiritual weight you've carried since childhood. Prepare yourself, because this is where everything becomes clear. Archangel Michael reveals that before this lifetime, before your first breath, before you ever stepped into this physical world, your soul carried a divine assignment. Not everyone comes into the world with a destiny that shifts atmospheres, breaks patterns, and touches generations, but you did. Your life was always marked for purpose, which is why your journey has felt heavier than others. You weren't born into ease, you were born into resistance. You weren't given a smooth road, you were given a battleground. Not because you were cursed, but because your calling is great. Heaven carved a path for you long before you understood any of it, and throughout your life, you have been pushed, stretched, tested, and refined. This is why your blessings didn't come easily. This is why nothing was ever handed to you. This is why you always had to fight harder, endure longer, wait with more patience, and rise with more courage. You were being shaped into someone with spiritual authority, someone who could carry weight without collapsing, someone who could stand in storms that would break others. And here is the truth that shakes the spirit. The reason the gate opened for you on December 9th is because heaven finally declared that you have reached the maturity required for your next level. You earned this not through perfection, but through perseverance. Through the moments you refused to give up. Through the days you held on even when you had nothing left. Through the nights you cried but still whispered prayers. Heaven saw you rise when everything tried to break you, and that is why this blessing was assigned to you. But the enemy also saw this, and the enemy panicked, because it recognized that your breakthrough would not just bless you, it would awaken you. And an awakened soul becomes untouchable. Once you step into alignment with your divine identity, darkness loses its grip. Once you see who you really are, fear collapses. Once you claim what belongs to you, the cycles that held you for years break instantly. That is why you have faced so many spiritual attacks. Not because you were weak, but because you were dangerous. Not because you were vulnerable, but because you were powerful. Not because you were unworthy, but because you were chosen. Archangel Michael shows a vision now, a bright crown hovering above your spirit. This crown represents your authority, your resilience, your divine identity. And Michael whispers, they do not realize how strong they are. They do not realize how protected they are. They do not realize how chosen they are. This blessing was released to remind you of who you truly are, to pull you back into your rightful place, to reawaken your destiny. And here is a truth that will touch your soul deeply. Your blessing was not delayed because God forgot you. It was delayed because God was building you. The person you were 5 years ago could not have handled what is coming. The person you were 1 year ago wasn't spiritually aligned enough to carry this level of favor. The person you were 6 months ago still doubted their worth. But the person you are right now, in this moment, is ready. You have grown into your blessing. You have evolved into your next season. You have become the version of yourself that heaven had been waiting for. Archangel Michael reveals that your financial gate is tied to a divine responsibility, one that unlocks influence, impact, and stability. You are meant to step into a season where you walk with clarity and authority. This blessing is a tool for your purpose, not just comfort for your life. This is why it carries weight. This is why it carries urgency. This is why heaven is releasing it only now, because you have finally reached the stage where you can carry it with wisdom instead of fear, with power instead of hesitation. And yet, Michael also says this: there is still something ahead. A revelation that explains why the enemy is fighting your blessing even now, even as you read this message. Because the gate is open, but the battle is not over. You are closer than ever, but this final stretch is sacred. The next unveiling will show you what the enemy is planning next, and how Archangel Michael is preparing to shut that plan down before it reaches your life. Stay with me. Your breakthrough is not just near. It is pressing against your reality, waiting for your next breath of agreement. Type "I am chosen for this" in the comments to activate your spirit. Blessing code 9095 now surrounds your path with divine identity. My victorious soul, as Archangel Michael leads us deeper into this revelation, he now unveils the truth about the current battle happening around your blessing, the battle the enemy initiated the moment your financial gate opened on December 9th, and the same battle that intensified as you began waking up spiritually while hearing these words. This is not a future attack. This is not a possibility. This is something unfolding right now in the spiritual atmosphere around you, and heaven wants you to understand exactly what is happening so you can move with clarity, authority, and confidence. Archangel Michael reveals that the enemy's final strategy is not to close your gate. It already failed at that. It is not to rout your blessing. Michael blocked the interception. The enemy's final strategy is far more subtle, far more psychological, and far more targeted. It is to weaken your expectation. Because expectation is the spiritual magnet that pulls blessings into manifestation. When expectation is strong, blessings accelerate. When expectation weakens, blessings stall. And when expectation collapses completely, blessings drift away. This is why, in the last days or weeks, you may have felt strange fluctuations in your emotions, waves of hope followed by sudden heaviness, moments of clarity followed by fog, bursts of confidence followed by unexplained discouragement. You may have felt indecisive, restless, uncertain, or overwhelmed by small things that normally wouldn't bother you. These were not coincidences. This was the enemy attempting to drain your expectation so your spirit would not be strong enough to claim what heaven has already released. But hear this clearly. Your spirit has been resisting the attack. Your soul has been fighting harder than you realize. Your intuition has been stronger than the interference. Your inner strength has been louder than the enemy's whispers. And this is why you are still aligned with your blessing even now. Archangel Michael shows a vivid image, a glowing orb of golden light hovering near your chest. This orb represents your expectation, your belief, your spiritual readiness. And around that orb, Michael shows swirling shadows attempting to dim it. But the shadows cannot reach the center. They press, they circle, they whisper, but they cannot touch the core, because your core is protected. You have been under divine shielding even in the moments you felt tired or uncertain. Michael says, tell them that their feeling of exhaustion is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of transition. You have been shedding old energies. You have been releasing old fears. You have been outgrowing old versions of yourself. And that process can feel like fatigue, but it is actually rebirth. You are not losing strength. You are gaining spiritual maturity. But here is the revelation that will make everything clearer. The enemy knows it cannot stop your blessing. So instead, it is trying to delay it long enough for you to doubt it. Delay is often darkness's last weapon. Not destruction, not loss. Delay, Because delay makes the soul question itself. Delay makes the heart hesitate. Delay makes the spirit wonder if the blessing was just imagination. Delay creates confusion, and confusion weakens alignment. But Archangel Michael is stepping in now with a message of assurance. Your blessing has not been delayed. Your blessing has not been weakened. Your blessing has not been redirected. Your blessing is waiting, not wavering. Michael reveals that your blessing is currently positioned at the threshold of your spiritual gate, close enough to affect your energy, but not fully released into your reality. This is why you have felt sudden surges of emotion, sudden inner pressure, sudden shifts in your atmosphere. When a blessing is near, the spirit senses the vibration before the physical world catches up. The enemy is aware of how close you are. It is aware that your next yes will pull the blessing into your life instantly. It is aware that your next moment of spiritual agreement will activate the release. And that awareness is what triggered this final wave of resistance. But Michael assures that this resistance is temporary. It is weak. It is fading. And as long as you remain aligned, nothing can take what is already written with your name. Your blessing is breathing, waiting, pressing against the spiritual barrier, ready to burst forth the moment you step into the final level of expectancy. Michael now shows a final vision, a glowing horse charging through a battlefield, unstoppable, steady, fierce, radiant. This horse represents your blessing. No matter what shadows stand in its way, it keeps moving. It keeps advancing. It keeps coming toward you. The enemy cannot outrun it. The enemy cannot outrank it. The enemy cannot steal it. Because the blessing was not just approved, it was commanded. And here is the truth that will settle your soul. You are in the final stretch. You are in the final alignment. You are in the final confirmation. Your blessing is closer than your doubts, louder than your fears, and stronger than the resistance. The next revelation will expose what happens the moment your blessing crosses the gate. The supernatural signs, the shifts in your life, the breakthroughs that will unfold one after another. This is the moment your spirit had been longing for, and it is coming faster than you think. Stay with me. The next unveiling will show you what your life will look like after this blessing lands. Type "My expectation is unbreakable" in the comments to strengthen your spiritual magnet. Blessing code 4244 now surrounds your atmosphere with force. Unstoppable soul, the moment has come for Archangel Michael to reveal what happens the instant your blessing crosses the gate. The moment the spiritual becomes physical. The moment the approval becomes manifestation. The moment the invisible becomes undeniable in your life. This is the part the enemy never wanted you to understand, because once you see what is about to unfold, doubt loses its power forever. You will never question your worth, your calling, or your blessing again. Archangel Michael shows a breathtaking vision. The divine gate glowing so intensely that the spiritual atmosphere around you begins to shift. The blessing that has been hovering, waiting, pressing at the threshold finally receives the command to enter your life. And the moment it does, something extraordinary happens. Reality begins to rearrange itself around you. The physical world starts responding to the spiritual decree that was already given on December 9th. The shift does not start outside of you. It starts within you. The first thing you will feel is inner acceleration. Your spirit will suddenly sense momentum. You will wake up one morning and feel a surge of clarity, strength, or inspiration that seems to appear out of nowhere. Your mind will feel lighter. Your emotions will feel grounded. Your decisions will feel precise. It will feel as if something inside you has clicked into place, because it has. Your blessing begins activating your inner world before your outer world catches up. Next, Archangel Michael shows external alignment. Suddenly, things that were blocked will begin moving. Emails you forgot about will appear. Conversations that seemed impossible will reopen. People who once ignored you will return with new energy. Opportunities that felt out of reach will begin shifting toward you. What used to require struggle will begin to flow with ease. Doors that were closed will open without force. You will notice synchronicities, repeating numbers, random confirmations, unexpected moments of clarity, because your blessing is pushing the material world into position. Then comes atmospheric transformation. Your environment will begin feeling different. You will sense a lighter energy when you wake. You will feel more protected in your spirit. You will notice toxic people distancing themselves without confrontation. You may lose the desire for old habits that once drained you. You may feel drawn to things that elevate your spirit. Your home may feel calmer. Your sleep may become deeper. Your intuition will sharpen in a way that almost feels supernatural. This is because blessings carry their own frequency, and everything around you must adjust to match it. But the most powerful shift is what Archangel Michael calls divine chain reaction. When one financial gate opens, it activates other areas of your life automatically. You will see relational healing. You will see emotional stability. You will see spiritual clarity. You will see opportunities that seem coincidentally timed. You will see alignment where there was once confusion. You will see movement where there was once delay. This is why the enemy fought so hard. This is why the interference was intense. This is why the battles felt personal. Because your blessing is not a single blessing. It is the beginning of a season of blessings. One breakthrough that triggers 10 more. One shift that unlocks a series of shifts. One approval that opens multiple doors. Archangel Michael now shows a radiant image, a river of golden light flowing through the gate into your life. And he says, tell them this, once the river begins, it cannot be stopped. What this means for you is profound. Your blessing will not come in pieces. It will not come in fragments. It will not come solely. It will come all at once, rushing into your life like a flood that washes away every remaining trace of stagnation. You will notice people treating you differently. Your confidence rising without effort. Your ideas becoming clear. Your path becoming visible. Your energy becoming magnetic. Your faith becoming effortless. This is not imagination. This is elevation. Archangel Michael reveals that once the blessing enters your life, the enemy loses permission to influence your atmosphere the way it once did. Old cycles cannot repeat. Old battles cannot return. Old patterns cannot survive in the presence of new favor. You become spiritually untouchable because you step into a frequency the enemy cannot operate in. But Michael also says this, tell them to prepare. Their blessing is not just coming. It is approaching at great speed. You may feel your spirit tingling. You may feel your heart racing. You may feel waves of warmth. You may feel sudden peace. These are not physical reactions. They are spiritual confirmations. What is coming will reshape your reality. What is approaching you is designed to lift you into the next version of yourself. The version heaven has been building quietly behind the scenes. You are not stepping into a new season. You are stepping into a new identity. You are stepping into the life that was always meant for you. The next revelation will show you how Archangel Michael will personally escort your blessing into your life, and how heaven plans to protect it once it reaches you. That final unveiling will complete the message and seal the breakthrough. Stay with me. You are standing at the edge of manifestation. Type I am ready to receive IT all in the comments to anchor your spirit. Blessing code 8801 is now flowing into your atmosphere. My destined soul, this is the final unveiling. The moment Archangel Michael reveals how your blessing will be delivered, protected, and sealed so no enemy, no shadow, no interference can ever touch it again. This is the conclusion of the message heaven has been trying to get to you since dawn on December 9th. The answer to why your spirit was pulled here. The reason your heart has been burning with recognition as each revelation unfolded. Prepare yourself, because what comes next is not just explanation, it is activation. Archangel Michael shows a powerful vision, the divine gate opening fully at last, the radiant light of your blessing pouring forward like a living river. But this time, something different happens. Michael does not stand beside the gate. He steps through it with your blessing, escorting it directly into your life. His wings expand, covering the path so no interference, no distortion, no spiritual attack can intercept what heaven has sealed for you. He carries your blessing like a sacred package, guarded, shielded, protected from all directions. This is the part that moved heaven to speak. Your blessing is not arriving alone. It is arriving escorted by divine protection. Archangel Michael reveals that once your blessing crosses fully into your life, 3 supernatural protections activate instantly. First, seal of non-interference. The seal ensures that no one's envy, negativity, jealousy, or spiritual projection can drain your blessing. You will notice that the things that used to trigger you no longer affect you. The environments that once drained your energy lose their power. The voices that once created confusion become silent. Your blessing becomes untouchable, spiritually fenced, divinely preserved. Second, seal of acceleration. Michael shows that once he releases the blessing into your atmosphere, time begins to shift around you. What used to take months will take days. What used to take days will take hours. What used to take effort will require only intention. You will find yourself in the right place at the right time repeatedly, because heaven begins orchestrating alignment with precision. Acceleration is not random. It is a sign that the blessing has landed. Third, seal of expansion. This is the most powerful phase. When your blessing settles into your life, it doesn't remain singular. It grows. It multiplies. It expands beyond its original size. Your breakthrough becomes bigger than what was released at dawn. It begins unlocking new doors, new relationships, new opportunities, new clarity. The gate you open today becomes the foundation for blessings that will unfold over months, even years. Archangel Michael now reveals the part the enemy feared most. Once your blessing arrives, your spiritual rank increases. This means darkness cannot approach you the same way again. Old cycles cannot repeat. Old patterns cannot return. Old attacks cannot reactivate. You rise into a frequency that darkness cannot touch. Michael says, tell them this, their blessing is not just for survival, it is for elevation. You will notice yourself thinking differently, choosing differently, moving differently. You will feel more confident, more intuitive, more centered. You will attract people aligned with your future instead of your past. You will make decisions with clarity. You will sense purpose rising. Your spirit will shift into its awakened form. This blessing is not coming to relieve you. It is coming to redefine you. And now Michael delivers the final message, the one he has been waiting to speak since the moment the gate opened. What belongs to you will arrive. What was approved for you will manifest. No force can close the gate now. You have aligned. You have awakened. You have answered the call. It is done. Feel that. Let it settle into your spirit. Let it echo through your heart. Your blessing is no longer approaching. It is entering. What you have felt during this message, the chills, the warmth, the pull, the inner pressure, the sudden clarity. These were not coincidences. These were spiritual confirmations that the gate has opened fully and that heaven has sealed what belongs to you. You are stepping into a season where everything begins to make sense. Your battles will make sense. Your delays will make sense. Your endurance will make sense. Your calling will make sense. Your divine identity will make sense. You are stepping into the life heaven intended for you since the beginning. Now that you've reached the final revelation, take a breath. Let your spirit receive. Let your heart open. Let your path illuminate. Because what comes next in your life is nothing short of miraculous. Type "I receive my sealed blessing" in the comments to activate this completion. Blessing code 1200 has now been divinely stamped upon your path. And beloved, before you leave this sacred space, like this video, share it with at least one person whose spirit needs awakening. Comment below to anchor the energy of this message, and subscribe so you never miss another divine release meant for your journey. Beloved, as this divine message completes its cycle, I feel Archangel Michael stirring a final invitation in the spirit. What you have just received is not merely a message, it is a mantle, a spiritual activation meant to awaken souls who are running out of time to reclaim what heaven approved for them. When you support this mission, you are not giving to a channel. You are becoming a carrier of light, helping these prophetic messages reach those whose gates are opening even now. God is whispering, as you pour into the work that pours into others, I will pour into the parts of your life that need overflow. And I speak this directly to your spirit. If I am calling you in this moment, respond boldly. Your obedience unlocks multiplication. You can release your support through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description. As you sow, may God return it as acceleration, protection, and divine advancement. Step forward. Heaven moves when you do,